Look at the 16th century plague in England and Europe that claimed millions of lives. Why is it happening? Why do we have more of it today? Because we have a weaker immune system. How are we going to build it? How many are familiar with this article out of the Weekly World News, November 8th issue? Cancer flu spreads to U.S. The virus acts like an ordinary flu bug at first, but as the symptoms linger, the virus mutates, causing cancer of the bone, blood, brain, colon, and pancreas. Interesting, isn't it? And of course, if you happen to be a victim, cancer flu has reached the United States, much less stricken victims in Dallas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, and New York. What are we going to do about these things? Look at this article here in March issue of Reader's Digest. The invisible invaders. The question is no longer when will infectious disease be wiped out. Rather it is where will the next deadly new plague appear. You need to read it because this article talks about how that every antibiotic that they have made, the viruses mutate, the bacteria mutate, and create their own immunity against the antibiotics. So we need to read these things so we are aware of what's going on and be prepared. Let's look at some of the things that cause it. Water suspected in illness. U.S. health officials speculate that local water sickened dozens of AIDS patients during the spring. Groups warn of risk from bad drinking water. New TB, a time bomb. This is USA Today News cover story. You know, we need to be aware. Flu on tap. Milwaukee blames illness on tap water. Tainted water. Blamed for unlike illnesses. It just goes on and on wherever we look. A contagious fascination with infections. As lethal viruses make news, the public ponders, what if? The hot zone. How many of you have seen the movie The Outbreak? Well, that's a reality. That's not just a movie. That's a reality. Ancient ills return with a vengeance. Viruses that they can't kill, they can't control. Now I want to spend time showing you what's exciting. This comes right out of the Cairo University Research Department. Dr. Rodwin S. Farag, who is our colleague in research at Cairo and I've worked with for 3 years. Safety evaluation of thyme and clove essential oils as natural antioxidants. If we're going to fight something, let's fight it with what God gave us to fight with. Look at here. Antimicrobial activity of some Egyptian spice essential oils. Hard copy research. We're not just here to talk about folklore medicine. Antimicrobial action of essential oils. The antimicrobial action is probably the one property of essential oils that has been known for the longest time. Isn't that interesting? But do you know about it? Do you read about it? Do you get to hear about it in the US of A? Of course not. How many of you know somebody that has diabetes? Let me show you what's going on in Cairo University with diabetes. They cure it. Look at here. This is just one of the simple studies that was conducted on diabetes. Blood glucose levels. This was a control group with insulin right here. Then they used bitter fennel, and it dropped it from over 275 to 200. Common dill oil, below 200. Coriander brought it down to normal range. Simple essential oils. Yes, they're correcting diseases in many places in the world. Look at here what came off the Associated Press 2 months ago. Very interesting. Scientists examine role of food derivatives in preventing cancer. Is anyone interested in cancer prevention? Cancer regression? Well, look at here. Soybeans, lavender oil, and orange peel. And we jump over here. Cancer-fighting powers of plant oils. Small quantities in lavender oil have been shown to work against breast cancer in lab animals. In animal studies, he said, we got both the prevention of cancer and the regression of cancer. How many would sooner have chemotherapy than a bottle of lavender oil? Now, this is something that's very exciting. We need oxygenation, antioxidants, and increased frequency. What's a frequency? Is frequency important to us? Are our bodies electrical? Absolutely. And it's very interesting when we study that and we see that not only is our body electrical, but everything around us has electrical frequency. But there's different types of frequencies, and this is what is kind of interesting. Because your lights overhead up here, they also have a frequency called 60 hertz. Essential oils have frequency from 52 to 320 hertz. But the difference between the oil frequency and your light frequency or television or telephone or microwave, your electrical AC frequencies are incoherent, chaotic frequencies. They fracture the human electrical field, where essential oils have a coherent, harmonic frequency. And so they're harmonious with the electrical field of the human body. So essential oils give us oxygen, antioxidants, and frequency. Now, I make food supplementation and was the first to create this type of formulation, the first to develop it in the world, and that was using essential oils in the food supplements. Why? because we found essential oils work as a transport mechanism in the food supplements. And the reason that we're starving to death nutritionally is because we're not assimilating the nutrients on the cellular level. Essential oils have the ability, because they are soluble with the lipids in the membrane, to go through the cellular wall and to carry with it nutrients that they're in association with. Because that's their purpose in the plant life, is to transport nutrients through the cell wall and deliver it inside the plant. And so when we took essential oils and put it inside the plant, it was very exciting because we got a delivery system. Now I want to back up just a little bit and give you something to think about. Going back to the blood. The blood is the transporter of nutrients. Vitamins, minerals, proteins, amino acids, hormones, enzymes. That's the pathway that they travel in to go to the cells. Then the cell wall has to be receptive to those nutrients and those health food ingredients. But when we have a deficiency in oxygen, the cell membrane literally will start to thicken because the pH changes on. And when it thickens, then the oxygen that's present there, also being compromised because of lifestyles, is not able to get the nutrients through the wall. And so we wind up with nutrients in the blood serum, but we can't get it inside the cell. And so we wind up having cell mutation, creating a host for viruses and bacteria and germs. Now, if essential oils are responsible for the oxygenating molecules, they are antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, and immunostimulating, which I'm going to show you in a minute, hard copy from the medical research. And they have the ability to transport nutrients, that they are the life force of the plant. What do you suppose happens to that oil when we cut the plant and dehydrate it? We evaporate 98% of that live substance is responsible for the healing force of that plant. As I look through the audience, I see quite a few people here that are probably old enough to remember the days when they used to gather herbs fresh in the pasture or the field or out on the hill and come home and make up their poultices and their teas and their extracts, and it worked. And so you tell your children about it, and your children get sick, and they go down to the health food store and buy a bottle of that same herb in a capsule form, take it home and take 6 bottles of it, nothing happens. And we wonder why. It is because modern man has taken the life force out of the herbs by dehydration. And so when I discovered that or learned about that, that's when I started spraying the oils back into the powdered herb, and it brought back the bioavailability of the nutrients that weren't there before or available to us before, because the catalyst agent had been evaporated out of them. So we were the first to put essential oils back into the plant and reestablish that activity. So if we want to cleanse our body, we want regeneration, and we want immunity, then we've got to start working on self, inside out and outside in. And it's really beautiful because we can create that simply by putting oils on the body. Now, look at lemon oil. Lemon oil is pressed from the rind, or the peeling. Now, this is taken right out of my French medical encyclopedia. This is hard copy research. This is not my work. And, of course, you can see that it's in French, Latin. And so what we're looking at here, where it says active principles, these are the constituents or the chemical ingredients found inside of that lemon oil that are identifiable. Many have not been identified yet. And we look right here, there's one agent here, sesquiterpenes, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it as I go along. Sesquiterpenes. The reason that's important is because they just found in 1994 at the Medical University of Berlin, Germany, and Vienna, Austria, that sesquiterpenes go beyond the blood-brain barrier. Now, I don't know how important that is to anyone, but I'll just kind of fill you in a little bit. It was stated by the Medical Association in October 1993 that if we, quote, could find an agent that would go beyond the blood-brain barrier, we could treat MS, Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's, and Alzheimer's successfully. June 1994, it was documented that the agent of sesquiterpenes has the ability to go beyond the blood-brain barrier. and was discovered in high levels in frankincense and sandalwood oils. I attended a 3-day medical conference in Grasse, France, September 5th, 6th, and 7th of 1994. I saw this research presented, and I saw the brain scan slices of before and after the inhalation of frankincense and sandalwood, and how it increased the oxygen production in the limbic system, particularly around the pineal and pituitary gland, and increased the secretion of antibodies, endorphins, and neurotransmitters. Documented hard copy from Berlin and Vienna, Austria. Let's look at lemon oil. Anti-infectious, bacterial, streptococci, antiseptic, bacterial, antiviral. This is how the doctors prescribe lemon oil to be used in the hospitals in Europe. There are 150 hospitals in England alone now prescribing and using essential oils for treatment.